Hi everyone, it's Joanne Delia here, and for today I'm going to explain to you the rules of the game volleyball. So first is service. Team captains complete a toss coin before a game is started to determine the team who will serve first. The winner of the toss coin can choose the might either to serve the ball or to receive the serve. Delay of service. In serving the ball, the server must hit the ball 8 seconds after the first referee whistled for service. It is considered failed or cancelled if the service was executed before the referee's whistle or a moment after 8 seconds. Now let's talk about fault. There will be a fault if the server doesn't execute the service properly. This includes stepping on the service line and not releasing the ball. Failure to serve the ball over the net, hitting the ball into the antenna. If the ball hits into the line, then it's still considered as in. And hitting the ball to the ground outside the playing area. Gameplay and playing the ball. The field is divided into two areas and separated by a net which is 8 feet high, and there are two antennas. Once you get the ball, you need to hit the ball into the opponent's playing area, but it should go between the antennas. In scoring system, the objectives of the game is to win 3 sets against the opponent. Each team composes of 12 players and only 6 players plays on the court. These players composes 2 setters and 1 libero at the back row. And on the front row, we have the middle hitter, left side hitter, and right side hitter. In order to win a set, the team should earn 25 points with a difference of 2 or more points against the other. But if ever there's what we call deuce, example both of the team has 24 points, one team must surpass 2 points against the other, just like this video having 25-27. Now let's go back to the gameplay. See this court and each point start with a service. Server needs to stand outside of the court and they need to toss the ball, hit it by hand, and should fall in this area of the opponent. So if you hit the ball anywhere in this area, then the serve is good. If the ball hits the line, then it's also good. If the ball hits the net, then it goes over into the other area, then it's also good. If the ball was going out but it hit a player, then it's also good. We can consider a serve as a fault if the ball hits into the net or the ball goes outside of the playing area. And in that case, you lose a point, then serve goes to the opposing team. Now if you do a good serve, the opponent will receive with their hands and they can pass it on to their team players without making it touches the ground, and then pass it again and finally hit it to the opponent's area. Receiving team is allowed 3 touches. If they do more, then they'll lose it. So the first touch is pass, second is set, and finally the third would be the attack or spike. Winner of current point gets to serve for next point. They will keep on serving if they earn the points, but if they lose it, then the serve would go to the other team. Now we have other violations. Touching the net, hitting the ball to the antenna, hit the ball twice in succession by the same player, catching or holding the ball longer, and reaching over the net. Now we have blocking. If the opponent blocked the ball and the ball falls into your area, then you lose a point. Now set is very tricky. Here, if 2 gives a set to that player, then the blockers would move closer to that player. Same goes now, if 2 gives a set on the other area, then the blockers would go there. It's just a matter of guessing and being alert about in which side of the area would the setter set the ball for you to be able to block it. Now one thing you need to keep in mind. Team is allowed to have 3 hits to pass the ball, but the block doesn't count. So, in this case, it hits the blocker's hand, but still it goes to the team. They would still have 1, 2, 3 hits to get the ball back to the opponent. If the ball hits the blocker and it goes way out, then it's considered as in. Now let's talk about volleyball position. So this area is known as the front zone and the other area is the back zone. And the position goes outside hitter, middle blocker, opposite hitter, and in the back is the setter, librero, and outside hitter. So you see the green player here. This player would have different jersey from all other teammates. That person is the passer or what we call librero. This person is very skillful on passing the ball using the forearms. So you have one libero for both of the teams. Then there's a setter who would set the ball. Typically, you would have one or two setter. And then you have the hitter. Typically, there are three hitters. And then there's a blocker, one blocker mostly of the team, with a job to stand close to the net and then block the shot. Now we have the rotation. Let's say you are player 6. Player 6 needs to be on this side of player 1, 3, and 5. So player 6 needs to be on between with these players and can stand anywhere on this green area. Now for player 1 would look at on this side of player 2 and player 6, which is in front of him. So if the player 1 stands on this area, the player 1 is in rotation. For player 2, we have this side of player 1 and player 3, so if player moves in this area, then he's in rotation. If the player moves outside of that area, then the player is out of rotation and the team loses the point. And the matter goes the same with the other positions. Now there's one more concept of rotation that happens only when serve changes and your team is serving, then you need to do a rotation. But if serve changes and it goes to the opponent, then you don't need to do anything. Now we have here, if the black team receives changes to serve, then they would do a rotation. One player moves one position in a clockwise rotation, and now player 2 would serve. Now let's say they won the point and then now it's their serve and then we won the point again and now it's our serve. Whenever we get so, we need to rotate. But take note, we only rotate when serve changes. Only when we lose a point and then again we win the point, then we need to rotate. Now as you can see here, the librero who is wearing different cannot play in the front zone. That's the restriction of librero, but its benefit is that he can substitute n numbers of times and it doesn't count as a substitution. Here librero doesn't count. So they would substitute an external player and now librero can replace any of these back zone player. So that was all the things I could explain about the rules of the game volleyball. I hope you learned something and see you again next time. Thank you for watching and listening.